Hello YouTube, Canadian Edge here, and we are going to review a knife. And the knife that we have with us today, it is the Komoran KO022. This is a big knife, and yeah, it has some size to it. It boasts a blade length of 3.5 inches. It open is 8.25 inches. Closed, it is 4.63 inches. The steel on this, it is a 440A stainless steel with a Wharncliffe or sheep's foot blade design. The weight of it is 6.3 ounces. So it is a heavier knife. A little bit of weight and size to this bad boy. And the handle on this is a G10. Sadly, the pocket clip, it is only a right hand carry tip down, and it is relatively deep carry. You do have a little bit of the knife sticking out, but yeah, for the most part it is a deep carry, and but only right hand and tip down. There's no change in that unless you change it yourself. This is a liner lock. And for those of you who don't know how a liner lock works, push it towards the scale and close the blade. Be careful to keep your fingers out of the way. It is flipper opening. You got the flipper tab or the dual thumb studs. So it can open with the thumb studs as well as the flipper tab. And I don't know, can I reverse flick this? Yep, you can reverse flick it too using the other thumb stud. It does have a ball bearing pivot, so it's got a nice smooth action to it and almost drop close. The more it gets broke in, I'm sure the more it'll drop, but it doesn't take a lot to close that. It closes pretty decent. It has a fuller on this side of the blade, and but not that side, just on the one side of the blade, and I'm thinking that's more aesthetic purposes than anything. And it does have a finger choil, which is nice. Allow you to get different grips for different jobs depending on what you're doing. And it has the jimping, which if you watch my videos, I am a fan of the jimping. I like that. Just gives you that extra grip and makes them more secure, in my opinion. The blade, it is slightly left of center, so not quite centered, but that's easily remedied if you wanted to fix it. I haven't bothered to put in the effort to fix it because I don't know that I'll be keeping this knife. We'll have to see. But there is no blade play. It sits in there nice and solid, so good on Komoran knives. They built it nice and solid in the pivot. All right, let's take a look at some size comparisons. So I told you this knife was big. Here's the Ontario Rat 2 and the Benchmade Bug Out. So you can see it's got some length on those guys. We'll get a couple bigger knives in here and see how they fare against it. We have the Sencut Saxi. And you can see there's still a bit of length on there, almost an inch I would say. And the Civivi Cogent. And it's getting closer, but still I'd say at least a finger width in size difference there. So it is a big knife, and anybody who likes big knives, this might be something for you to look at, because this is actually a budget knife, which is nice. They're here in Canada, I believe it was in what, the $40 range. I think it was around $40, maybe a little under that. But they're not that expensive, so yeah. And nice and sharp. The 440 stainless steel, it does do a decent edge, and the nice thing is it's easy to sharpen. It just doesn't hold an edge as long as some of the higher quality steels, which may or may not be a big deal. The zip tie, if I can get the blade in there, look how big that bad boy is. Wow. But it cuts through the zip tie without a lot of effort. And through our paracord, cuts through that pretty easily. And our twine, it cuts that pretty easily. So you can see it does come with a decent edge and fairly sharp, so that's a plus. It does have the nice logo on there. I don't know if you can see that. My lighting, I got to work on different lighting so that you can see the different things. But anyway, it does have the Komoran logo on there, and you also get that on the cleaning cloth that comes with the knife. So one of the reasons I got this knife, I like knives that have a little bit different look to them, and this one definitely has a different look with the blade profile. Even from one side to the other with the fuller in there. You've got the two different grinds on there. Gives it a different look. And not sure the purpose of that, but it gives it the different look as well. And so aesthetically, I liked what I saw with this knife. I thought it was a good looking knife. The handle is pretty generic, but you know, very functional. It works for this knife, and so yeah, I just thought I would check it out, and the price is pretty decent, and I wasn't familiar with the Komoran knives and thought I would check it out. So yeah, it seems like a decent knife. So aesthetically, yes, I liked what I saw with the blade profile. It worked well. I think they did a good job on the scales here. You've got the diamond pattern here, which gives you the grip, but it's all, well, it's not a bolster, but it's a bolster type finish down here at the end, which just gives it a nice different look. They chamfered the edges here, so you've got the finger grip. So it works quite well aesthetically. Ergonomically, it feels great in the hand. This feels like a knife you could use quite a bit. This is definitely something I would use camping. You could chop a lot of little branches and do a lot of work around the campsite. My only beef, and we'll talk about the pocket clips there in a minute, is that they made the bill here of the pocket clip. It goes right into your palm, right in that area there. And I'm pretty sure that if you use this for an extended period of time, it would become a real hot spot. So yeah, I'm not real keen on that. That's something that if I was to keep the knife, I might grind that down just to make it less obtrusive, because you can see it sticks out quite a bit. So yeah, you definitely notice that when you're holding on to it. It would definitely do some rubbing in your hand. Grip wise, man, I have very few knives that can compare to this with grip. There is no way this is slipping out of your hand. Yeah, I heard Nick Shabazz say that, you know, this is not this knife, but a knife he was talking about. You could hold on to it if you worked in a Vaseline factory. Well, this is the same thing. This has quite the grip on it. It's not slipping out of your hand unless you let it go, because it's easy to get a purchase on there. It's actually quite rough. I maybe in the fit and finish would have polished that down a little bit more, but if you're a person who uses your knife a lot, this will wear down after a while, which will still leave you with great grip. So good on them. It definitely is not something that's going to slip easily in your hand. And then I was impressed with the pivot too. It's nice smooth pivot on it. Even out of the box, it opened up no problem and basically dropped closed, as I said. So yes, they did a good job on the pivot for, you know, a $40 knife. It's hard to complain. The only thing I would have liked maybe a little better steel. I'm not a big fan of the 440A due to the fact that there's some other budget steels out there that are a better steel and inexpensive. So whatever. It's a knife that, you know, you could be rough and tumble with this knife, and if the blade gives out at some point, then whatever, you didn't spend a huge amount of money on it. And the sharpness, I like how it came very sharp, which is always a plus. I don't like having to sharpen new knives because I feel that they should come from the factory already sharp. So that's just my feeling. But anyway, I'm very happy with what I see on here. There is a couple little things that I didn't really care for. It's heavy. When this thing is in your pocket, you know it. If you've got loose pants on, you'll have to wear a belt because this will be pulling on your pocket. So yes, it is a heavy knife, which some people don't mind. They like the heavy knives. It works well for them and the work that they're doing. So if you're one of those people, this might be a knife for you. The pocket clip, again, it's wear and tear on your pocket with this mount system that they've done because it's raised screws. It's a raised mount. It's going to be wear and tear. And then I mentioned the bill on there on the end of it that sticks into your palm, and it's not horrible, but I just have a feeling that using this a lot, you would probably feel that. And then it is bulky in your pocket. You know, it takes up a lot of room in the pocket. It's quite a thick knife, so you definitely know that you have this in your pocket. But you know, in terms of if you're looking for a budget knife and you like something you can use and abuse, and something larger, heavier, this definitely might be a knife that you want to look at. I haven't used it for too many heavy jobs. I've opened some packaging with it and you know, just casual stuff around the house. But yeah, if I was to keep this knife, this would be something I would probably take with me camping, use out in the bush camping and that. You could chop some branches. It's nice to have the extra control with the choil there. Gives you a little more control over what you're doing if you're slicing tomatoes or whatever. It's just nice to have that little extra, a little different grip that you can change it up with. But for, yeah, as I say, price point, if you're looking for a budget everyday carry and you like bigger knives, definitely check out the Komoran lineup. This one I got from Blades Canada, Warriors and Wonders, and you can find Komoran knives at different places. I didn't necessarily find, or did I? I can't remember now. Komoran website, they must have had one. Anyway, it's definitely a budget knife that may work for a lot of people. It just won't be something that ends up in my everyday carry lineup. Just because of the size of it, it's not something I would carry as an everyday carry. I prefer smaller, thinner knives. But nonetheless, I'm happy with it. I think it did a good job. Maybe just a little bit better on the fit and finish for the end product. There are some edges that you do feel compared to, you know, $100 plus knives. But again, you're not spending that amount of money on it. So for what you spend, I'm very happy with it, very impressed. All right, that's all I have to say about that. Check out my other reviews online. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment. I will get back to you. And thanks for joining me on this review. And we will do this again, but until then, you stay safe and stay sharp.